I do have a story about a couple of skunks. One was named In, and the other was named Out. Lovely skunks. Their mom loved them. But the thing that was interesting was that when In was in, Out was out. When In was out, Out was in. So one day when In was out and Out was in, Mother Skunk said, Out, go out and find In and bring him in for you because I have to talk to you too. So Out goes out, busted. 2 seconds later, Out comes back in with In. And Mother Skunk, she's amazed. She says, like, Out, how did you find In so quickly? And Out replied, instincts. And with that, very nice. Thank you. I don't know.
And they didn't even have the drum set.
Yeah.
So.
Well, should we get started?
Are the cameras ready?
I'm not sure. Good. Thank you all for coming. We are Spellbinders. And what that is we are Spellbinders storytellers. We are a national nonprofit. We volunteer during the school year. We go into kindergarten through 5th grade classrooms and we tell stories. No pictures, no TVs, nothing extra allowed, and children have to imagine the stories that we tell them. So today we are here at ComicCon to share our stories with you. Once upon a time, there was a lady that needed a new pair of shoes. Now, this lady didn't have very much money, so she was shopping for a bargain. And she happened to find one at a shop. She found the perfect pair of shoes. They were the perfect price, so she bought them and took them home. That night, when she was going to bed, she put the shoes side by side at the foot of her bed, and she laid down to go to sleep. Right before she fell asleep, she heard a voice say, "My dear, would you care to dance?" And she heard another voice say, "Well, I don't mind if I do." And those shoes began to tippity-tap, clickety-clack, all across the room, and they danced all night long until the sun came up the next morning. And Our Lady didn't get any sleep, and she was really irritated that she had bought a pair of cursed shoes. So she took those shoes back to the shop and demanded her money back. But the shopkeep said, "I'm sorry," and he pointed to a sign that said, "No returns, no exchanges." So she was stuck with this pair of shoes. So she went back home, and that evening she decided to put bricks in the shoes, and maybe they wouldn't be able to dance. And right as she laid down to sleep and was about to fall asleep, she heard the voice again, "My dear, would you care to dance?" And another voice answered, "Well, I don't mind if I do." And if she thought the shoes were loud the first night, the second night they were even more noisy. Stomp, stomp, clickety-clack, stomp, stomp, clickety-clack, all night long, until the sun came up the next morning. Well, there was nothing to do but to go see the town wizard who lived outside of town in the mountains. And she had heard that if you see the wizard, you have to pay a price for his services. So she was a blackberry jam maker, and she had the best blackberry jam in town. So she packed up her nicest jar of jam, put it in a basket, put the shoes on, and hiked up the mountainside to see the wizard. Now, this wizard, nobody really liked him because, he had long, scraggly hair and warts on his nose and dirt under his fingernails that have never been trimmed, and he just did not smell very nice. But she went to find him, and he hobbled out of his cave, and he said, "What do you want?" And she said, Mr. Wizard, sir, these shoes have a curse on them, and I wanted you to take it off, and I brought you some jam." And he said, "Well, is it special jam?" Oh, yes, I believe it's very special." He said, "I don't know. Let me see." And he took the jar, and he opened it up and stuck his hand right into the jar of jam, pulled some out. "Well, that's pretty good jam, but I don't know if it's special." And so he stuck his paw in again. "That's is tasty, but I don't know if it's special. And so he reached his hand and took the rest of the jam. Well, that's mighty fine jam, but it's not special. I cannot remove the curse from those shoes, but I'll give you some advice. Try wearing the shoes to sleep in. If they can't touch the ground, they can't dance. So she went back down the mountainside, went home, and went right to bed because she was exhausted. But she left the shoes on. And right before she fell asleep, she heard a voice say, "My dear, would you care to dance?" And another voice responded, "But I don't mind if I do." And those shoes, which were on her feet, hopped up out of the bed and began to tap dance. They began to step dance. And she grabbed a hold of the door and they did a hop, skip, step, twist, opened the door, and she went outside and danced among the blackberry bushes all night long until the sun came up the next morning. Oh, and Our Lady, our heroine, she was so mad. She had a headache. She hadn't slept for 3 nights. So she went into her home. She pulled down her cooking pot. She put blackberries into it. And she said, "My jam's not special. Well, I'm going to make him some really special jam." She looked around the house. She found vinegar. She added to the pot. That'll make this jam special. And she looked around some more. She saw some hot sauce, some Tabasco. She pulled that down and added that to the jam. She thought, it's not special enough. What else? What else can I put into it? She took her finger and she shoved it up her nose and pulled out a booger into the blackberry jam. Mixed it up, put it into a jar, put it in a nice basket, and hiked up the mountain to see the wizard. And he came out of his cave and said, "Oh, did it work?" She said, No, it did not, but I brought you some really special jam so that you'll take this curse off of my shoes." And he said, "Well, I don't know. Let me try it." Took the jam, opened the lid, stuck his hand in. This is some nice jam, but you added something different this time, didn't you? And she said, "Oh, yes, I did. Can you guess what it is?" And he said, "That tastes like vinegar." She said, yes, it is vinegar. And he said, "My grandmother used to put vinegar in her blackberry jam. Makes it slide down the throat so nicely. But there's more in this jam, isn't there?" And she said, "Oh, yes, there is." So he scooped out some more jam and tasted it. "Why, this tastes like there's hot sauce in this jam. Did you add Tabasco?" And she said, yes, I did. And he said, "My mother adds Tabasco. It warms the belly," she says. And then he said, "I think there's something else in this jam." And she said, "Oh, yes, there's something very special that I added to this jam." So he stuck his hand in, scooped out the rest, got a little stuck in his teeth, and he said, "Did you add a booger to this jam?" And she started laughing. "Yes, I did, and you deserve it." And he said, "Well, this is special indeed. I put boogers in my blackberry jam. In fact, I say jam isn't special unless it has boogers in it." And with a wave of his hand, he removed the curse off of her shoes. And she went home and fell into bed. And just as she was about to fall asleep, she heard, "My dear, would you care to go to sleep?" And a voice said, "Well, I don't mind if I do." And that is the story of blackberry jam. Allow me to introduce from my cohorts, Miss Valerie.
Well, I've got a story for you today, and it's the story of Finn McCool and the Great Fish. Now, Finn McCool was the biggest giant in all of Ireland, And he was also the greatest warrior. His strength was remarkable. He could pick up your house and face the sunrise in the morning and turn it around at night so you could watch the moon rise over the mountains. And the people of Drumahole, where he lived, were very pleased to have him. They said, "Oh, he's the kindest man that ever set foot on Ireland's green grass." They said, "Yeah, he's amazing. We're so lucky to have him here in Drumahole." And then they said, there was just one thing that they didn't mention. Finn wasn't terribly smart. And they would whisper and they'd say, "Oh, he's a big-hearted man and all that, but he's a bit of a turnip head." And one day Finn heard them and he was devastated. In the nearby village, there lived an old, old man who was said to be the keeper of great wisdom. But he would never share it with just anyone. It had to be just the right person. Now, you can imagine, many people came to him looking for the wisdom. And, the baker brought him a big fresh soda bread, the butter thick upon it. Bertie O'Hallahan, she brought him her best laying hen so he could have an egg for his breakfast in the morning. And another Kathleen brought a big wheelbarrow full of sod that she cut from the peat herself so he could be warm on these chilly mornings. And he thanked them all for their kindness, but he did not share his secret with them. Well, Finn decided to go see this old man. So he hollered down, because he's a giant. He said, "Hey, old man, it's me, Finn McCool. I've come to ask you if you'd share your secret of knowledge with me." And the old man came out, and Finn hunkered down so he could see. And he said, "Well, I know who you are, and I know why you've come. But you're a great man. You're a giant. You've fought Culcullen. You've helped Ireland. You have all of these skills. Why do you need wisdom?" And Finn said, "Well, my man's nothing without it. If I had wisdom, I could help my friends. I could answer their questions where now I can just shake my head. I could come and help Ireland when the need arose if I had wisdom." And the old man said, "You are right. You are a great giant of a man, and with wisdom you would be a lot more. Okay, I want you to go down to the river Bayonne. And in the river, there lies a great red salmon, the color of the sunset at night. And in him is all the wisdom and all the knowledge. I want you to catch him, cook it, and eat him, and the knowledge will be yours. It is known to me that you will use it in the service of Ireland." And so Finn just said, "Oh, thank you so much, sir. Thank you." And in 2 strides, he was down at the river Bayonne. He cast his line in, and the river was boiling and rumbling, and he could see fish in there. He could see brown fish, silver fish, fish the color of a copper penny, but he couldn't see any red salmon. And he's looking. Oh, Cora, there it was. It was swimming lazily upstream, this giant salmon. Every scale on it was a point of fire. And it swam, and he just couldn't believe it. And he let his hook just stay right there, and the fish swam, and around the hook it went once. And again went around. And then it grabbed the hook and the bait. And Finn struggled to pull it up onto the shore. And the river boiled and rumbled and tumbled. And it was like the river didn't want to give up its fish. And he pulled it ashore finally. And he laid it in his hand. And he said to the river, "I wanted the knowledge. A man can do more with knowledge than a fish can. So I ask you to forgive me for taking it." And then he looked at the fish. And the hook was embedded right in his lip. And it was bleeding. He goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And he looked in its eyes, and he saw life, and he saw the knowledge. And he's like, "Oh, I wanted the knowledge, but not if I have to sacrifice you." And the fish spoke to him. He never heard a fish speak before. It said, "I know who you are, and I'm ready to give my life to you." And Finn said, "Oh, I'm so sorry about the hook." And he carefully tried to pry the hook out of the fish's lip, and it stuck in his thumb. And he sucked on it, and he tasted something strange and beautiful, and he was filled with power and a strangeness he didn't have a name for. And the fish said, "You now have some of my wisdom. It is passed from me and my blood into you, but I know you will use it for the good of Ireland." And Finn was like, "But why? If you have all the knowledge in the world, why would you take the bait? Why?" And the fish said, "Maybe I was waiting for you. Maybe I wanted to give the wisdom to you." And Finn was like, "Oh, thank you." And he carefully laid the fish back into the river, and he watched it slowly swim away. But wasn't it a lighter shade of red now? And then he looked at his thumb. It was all healed over. And he couldn't believe it. It was healed, but he looked at it, and it was turning a delicate shade of pink. Finn told no one. He went back to the old man's house, and he looked for the old man, and the old man was not there. The bread was still there. The eggs were ungathered. The sod was still in the wheelbarrow. But there was a glittering trail of what could have been fish scales going down the path. Every one a sparkling point of fire. And from then on, the people of Drumhoon marveled at how wise Finn had become. He helped them with their problems. He knew the answers before they even knew themselves. He spoke to the King of England and the King of France. He helped fight off the Vikings. He was amazing. And they said, he's the same kind-hearted Finn he always was. And they shook their head and they go, "Yeah, but isn't it a puzzle how he sucks on his thumb when he's working on a problem? You'd almost think there was magic in it. You almost would." And that's the story of Finn McCool. Here you have Miss Elena.
Miss Elena.
Miss Elena?
And Mr. Salvar.
No, you're Elaine.
Okay, there we go. There we are. I think it's really amazing because we have these stories that you can tell what kids' ages probably would get aligned with those stories. I'm going to take us way down because I'm a fan of Aesop and Aesop's Stables. It was a nice fall day, and in the fairgrounds, Hare was bragging again. Not only am I the fastest animal in the world because I have these beautiful big feet, I probably have the longest, best ears around. Nobody can beat me. I am actually faster than Cheetah. They just give him better PR, but I am the fastest animal around. The animals have heard this over and over and over again and were really bored until Tortoise came up. "Well, you might be the fastest animal, but I think I could beat you in a race." You are so slow, you carry your house on your back. You can't even get home all the time. Well, okay, Snail's even slower than you, but Tortoise, come on. I can beat you in any race. I know you're fast, but I still think I could win a race against you. Of course, the other animals thought this was fabulous, and they quickly devised a race course. They nominated Fox to start the race, and soon there was Hare and there was Tortoise at the starting line. And there was Fox. On your marks, get set, go! And then Hare took off, and then Hare is running, and Hare is looking back, and Tortoise has not even crossed the starting line yet. Hare started walking. Made it around the curve, and there was a nice tree, a nice rock. It was a sunny, beautiful day, and I bet I could take a nap. And sure enough, Hare leaned back against the nice, comfy rock. It was soon sound asleep. Well, hair sleeping out. Back to Tortoise. Starting. I realized it may have been kind of silly for me to challenge here, but, I'll do my best, and that's the best I can do. I was getting really tired of it, He's sleeping. Don't want to wake him up. And so Tortoise quietly continued his way to the finish line. Here eventually, I'm here. Woke up. Good. Looked back. Still no Tortoise, and turned around. There was Tortoise crossing the finish line. Hare lost the race. And that's where we get the moral, of course. Slow and steady wins the race. And you might not be the best. You might not be the fastest. But if you try, you'll get there. And that's the important part of a journey. Now, that's the official ending of The Tortoise and the Hare. What people don't know is there were bets happening for that race. And Snail, who was rather peeved about how Hare kept making really snide comments about her, bet on Tortoise. She killed it. So she made her way as quickly as she could to the Ferrari store, just 2 blocks away, and she got there about 3 years later. And she said, okay, I want the fastest vehicle around. I want it bright cherry red, and I want a big black S on it so everybody knows it's Snail's car. She got that car. It was custom made so that she could drive it around. And so there she was, going back and forth on the road. And there were the animals saying, yep, look at that S car go. Then it comes, you can play it and change it for your audience. And the story and the moral still stands.